The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. The preliminary election right around the corner on September 19th, and we're taking some time to speak to as many candidates as possible between now and Election Day. I'm pleased to be joined today by one of the 19 names you'll see on the City Council ballot on September 19th, incumbent Brad Kilby. Brad, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Keith, very much. It's a pleasure.
You know, you were mentioning before that you've been as City Councilor for 12 years?
Yes.
Will this be your 12th term?
Yeah, 10 years on the school committee. I started out when I was 30 years old. Spent 10 years there and 12 years on the City Council now.
I guess what's your key to success?
Hard work, having just maybe a natural desire to help people, engage people, and motivationally, I think, caring about the city. That's sincere. Yeah. I really care about the city I live in.
You know, there's a lot, and I'm going to ask you some questions about some issues that are happening right now, and obviously over the years, priorities change and things change. What would you say is your number one priority that you're speaking to people about seeking re-election?
Well, there's quite a lot, but it seems to me I usually focus on what other people are concerned about, and that's obviously makes me effective when I can spirit that. So I would say public safety has been challenging, not only recruiting new officers, but also how difficult the job has become in terms of a changing population. And not a full complement of law enforcement officers on the streets. The new legislation that was passed with regard to cameras and things like that. Some of the negative publicity that our police officers get, which I think is very, very alarming to me. The police do hard work out there. Hard work out there. We're a gateway city, as you know, one of the largest cities in the Commonwealth. And what goes along with that is more complex issues will hit us. So that is of concern to me. And I'm chairman of public safety. I asked Council President Camara to serve on that committee. He said yes. It's kind of in my wheelhouse being an attorney. And education has always been in the forefront of my mindset in Fall River. Yeah,
and that's actually changed a little bit since you were on the school committee, right? I mean,
yes.
I mean, they've got an influx of money. Obviously, money doesn't cure the ills. Right. So how, as a city councilor, maybe from your experience being on the school committee, can you bring to?
Yes, a great deal. When I first started out in 1994, it was a year after the 1993 Educational Reform Act that was passed. And that's really the last time we had such a huge infusion of money into the city. Now, with the pandemic and it's been a real monster curve to get your hands on in terms of what the children and the teachers had to go through with the outside learning. But the school department is getting a large infusion, so is the city, of federal, state money. And I'm a big supporter of our superintendent. You asked the question how I can, as a city councilor, influence that. We vote on their budget. We make recommendations. We bring up things we'd like to see. At the last meeting, I brought up diversity of population within our school department, teacher recruitment, classroom size, especially at the elementary school level. So the experience that I had, the 10 years on the school committee, serving as chairman of the building committee, chairman of grievances, over 10 years, different committees. I think I served on every one except maybe one or two. And as a former teacher, I was a teacher at Durfee. We graduated together in 1983, a long time ago, 40 years. So I taught at Durfee. That was my first chosen career. For 7 years I was there as a crisis counselor. And then matriculated, went to law school and started my law practice in 1994. So education, that's been number two for me. Yeah.
So let me ask you another big issue facing city residents. Really since the pandemic and the increase in inflation is cost of living. Rents have skyrocketed. It's not just a Fall River issue. It's a nationwide issue where you've got people coming in, purchasing multifamily homes, and they're looking for a return on their investment, and they're looking at the ability to raise rents. How, as a city councilor, can you work with either the administration or others to help make it easier for people to get by and pay their bills?
Yeah, well, that's a difficult one. I mean, that's these are private investors that are coming into the city, and some local investors as well. On a positive side, converting some of these old, antiquated buildings into market rate housing. And market rate housing isn't what it was when our parents were young, paying $50 a month rent. Times have changed. So how can I, as a city councilor, affect that? Just be vocal, I would guess. I'm reading that there's going to be a ballot question in 2024 with regard to rent control. So the people will have a say in terms of if they'd like to see some type of form of that coming. But not to dodge the question, but I think my role as a city councilor influencing that is just to be vocal. We have limited ability in terms of what we can do as a legislative body. But it's a cause for concern, absolutely, with inflation and with salaries not what they should be. I think a lot of people are struggling. I do read it on social media in terms of what they're paying for a 1-2 bedroom apartment. Some are very fortunate because they live in a three family that's owned by a relative or whatever, paying $750 a month, but in large extent it's who you know.
Right.
So it is a major concern, Keith.
Yeah. So you in your 12 years you've worked with. I was trying to do the math in my head. A lot of mayors in the 12 years.
Yes.
Right? Will Flanagan may have been first.
First was Ed Lambert.
Ed Lambert.
Yeah, a very good friend of mine, and he was excellent.
Right. So you worked with a number of mayors.
Yes.
So 2 questions. One, how's your relationship with Mayor Coogan?
Yep.
And how do you view that relationship in general as a city councilor working with an administration?
Okay. Well, let me talk first on a personal level. When I was a teacher at Durfee, late 80s, we were both hired basically at the same time. So I've known Paul Coogan. I call him Paul. I've known Paul for a long time. I started out as a crisis counselor, and he worked, I believe, for Jobs for Progress. Then he actually advanced to become not only a principal, but now the mayor of Fall River. So that personal relationship I had with him definitely aids me in terms of not only having respect for him, but having good, concrete discussions about the city, open discussions, honest discussions. So I have a good rapport with him, as I did with Lambert and the others. But the relationship I have with Paul is a little different because I've known him for so long. And that aids me to be more effective city councilor. It really does.
But could that be viewed as also a detriment to saying, oh, well, Brad and Paul are really close and Brad's going to do this for the mayor? Can you still take the job away? Separate the job from the...
If anybody knows me, that's not my makeup. Right. My goal is to help. And that's the reason I enjoy serving all these years as an elected official. I enjoy helping people.
Yeah.
And I never ask for anything.
Right.
Trust me, ask around. I don't ask for anything for myself or for my family. I ask, if I do ask for something, and I'll give you an example, Kennedy Street, after the development down, all the beautiful homes down off of Wilson Road and Bertie Street in that area. Of course, there was some access problems that had to be accomplished down there with infrastructure and pipes and streets. And I requested that that street needs to be done. It's one of the worst streets in Fall River. You drive by there today, the street's done.
Yeah.
So that's the type of things I really enjoy doing.
Prior to our talk, you recorded a candidate statement that people can see as well on our website or on Channel 95 here in Fall River. But you talked about how the city has grown and there's growth here. There's a lot of economic opportunities. Reconstruction Route 79 is going to open up a lot of possibilities. How do you view your role as a councilor to work with whoever is the mayor in the next 2 years to help, get some ideas for what the plan could be for that area moving forward? It won't be done until 26, but
Yep.
plans are starting to be talked about now.
Yes. Well, as I said during the speech, I look at that as a generational project. When in the early 70s, I remember a large influx. I was a child, a large influx of money that was coming into Fall River. This is just incredible, waterfront when it's going to be done. So, what can I do to try to foster that? Again, a lot of being an elected official is relationships. If you look at my cell phone, I have Senator Roderick's number, I have Carol Fiola's number, I have Smith's number, I have Alan Sylvia's number, I have the mayor's number. So my job as a city councilor, I always looked at it as being a voice for people of Fall River and what concerns they have. And the latest one was the gentleman who owns St. Michael's Provision. And he asked me some questions with regards, some I answered, some I couldn't answer. Got on the phone and answered those questions for him. To alleviate some stress and anxiety that some people may be going through as a result of all that development. What I don't like, though, is just last night I was doing some reading, as I usually do, and I have some individuals complaining about showing up 10, 15 minutes late, can't make it to my office, I have to take other streets. Come on, when progress is a sacrifice. And I look at that and I say, they're complaining because there's 15 minutes more to go to work, and I have to take this street, and this street. Well, would you rather have everything stand still and you'd rather have no improvement? Then we'd get complaints that way. So.
All right, Brad Kilby.
My pleasure.
Councilor, thank you for joining us.
So good to see you.
We'll talk again, hopefully between now and November.
Thank you, bro.
Your time.
We appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us here on FRC Media. I'm Keith Tebow. Please make a point to vote on Tuesday, September 19th.